You're listening to the Fierce Valley Podcast, episode 98. Does anti-diet mean anti-vax? Plus, grind culture. Let's do it!
Perfect!
I'm Victoria Wellesby, TEDx speaker, best-selling author, and fat activist. I have transformed my life from hating my body with desperately low self-esteem to being a courageous and confident, fierce fatty who loves every inch of this jelly. Society teaches us living in a fat body is bad, but what if we spent less time, money, and energy on the pursuit of thinness and instead focused on the things that actually matter, like if pineapple on pizza should be outlawed, or if the mullet was the greatest haircut of the 20th century. So, how do you stop negative beliefs about your fat body controlling your life? It's the Fierce Fatty Podcast. Let's begin. How are you? How's life? Welcome to this podcast episode. Thank you for tuning in. C-H-U-ning in. So glad that you're here. So I've been on the data naps some more. I want to share with you some jokes. That a guy sent me, some puns, some pickup lines you might want to use that started out cute but then got creepy. Oh, cis men, why you gotta be like this? So I got a message on OkCupid who said, "Hey, how's your day going? Have you ever been called Earl Grey?" I responded, "Haha, never been called Earl Grey, but I had an Earl Grey muffin this morning. My day is good. My dog didn't like the rain this morning, but he looked cute in his rain jacket. How about you?" I was thinking Earl Grey because I'm British. I was like, what is this? And this person responded, "Well, people must call you Earl Grey because honestly, you're such a hottie. Hot tea." "I'm pretty good, just working. Are you a gardener?" And I was like, yes, I like this. A bit of a cheesy line. And so I thought, I'm going to give him my cheesy line. So I responded, "Oh, damn. LOL. Okay. Well, if you were a vegetable, you'd be a cucumber." Pretty good one, right? That used to be my single most, where I would just send that to people as my first intro message, but my sister said it was too cheesy. I don't know. I think I should just keep going with "if you're a vegetable, you'd be a cucumber." I think it's pretty wholesome, isn't it? Or is it too cheesy? I don't know. Anyway, this guy continues. "You remind me of a joke. What's the difference between hungry and horny?" And here I was like, oh my God, here you go. I hope we don't start telling creepy jokes. And he says, I say, "I don't know, tell me." And he says, "Is where to stick the cucumber. LOL. So the joke was, what's the difference between hungry and horny? Is where to stick the cucumber. It literally took me about 60 seconds to get that. I was like, I don't understand. And anyway, take a minute to understand if you don't understand. And I said, "Oh my God, that's an eye roller." And he continues, "What do dildo and tofu have in common?" And here I'm like, oh God, he's better be turning this around back to cute soon. And he says, I say, "I don't know, tell me." Oh no, I say, "What?" And he said, they both are meat substitute, LOL. And so I said, started out cute, but then was creepy. Oh, wah, wah, wah. It's like, you know what? I love it. a little funny joke like that to start with. And, I like a bit of a joke. And then, he's like pushing it a little bit about talking about cucumbers up your bum or whatever. I was like, okay. And then he goes in with the fucking dildo and tofu. I mean, but that's my only dating adventure this week. I'm sorry, I haven't got anything else to update you on. No other weird people. It kind of comes in waves of me going on the apps. I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna find my next love of my life, and then I'm like, oh, cis men are the worst. And then I'm like, no, come on, give them a chance. And then they send me like jokes about dildos, and then I'm like, oh. So it's like a wave of yay, right? You probably get it if you're on the apps, or if you ever remember being on the apps. I thought I would make this episode today because this topic came up, anti-diet, anti-vax, and I was like, shit, holy fuck, do people think this? Because if they do, I need to tell them that ain't what it is. If you've been listening to the podcast, you know that I no longer look at my DMs on Instagram, that my assistant Mari, who is the best, goes through my DMs for me, because it's too much of a roller coaster of emotions, and it's been wonderful. So that's been happening now for a couple of weeks. My mental health is really good, juicy, loving it. But sometimes I'm a little nosy. So I went and looked. I was like, I'm just going to have a look at like one message. So I went and had a look at one message. And the message was, oh, thank you so much, Victoria. You are the best. Your podcast is the best. You've really helped me and helped others. Big love. All the good stuff, right? And I was like, oh, I miss looking at my DMs. Oh my god, people are so nice. Oh, I love reading messages like that. And so I was like, okay, just look at one more. Just look at one more, because you're gonna have. I got that like dopamine hit of we love you. And so I was like, oh, let's look at one more. And so I looked at one more. Mistake. So the next message was a beautiful reminder of why the fuck I need to stay off the Instagram DMs. And actually it was good to get that kind of reminder, because it just anyway, so I'm gonna read you this message, which is actually inspired this episode, which I promptly got off Instagram and was like, no, I need to stop it. Anyway, so this person wrote, hi there. I'm just writing to you as I've been quite disappointed about your last couple of episodes regarding discrimination. Ooh, who am I discriminating against, I think? Oh God, how have I fucked up, I think? I just wanted to point out that you're willing to question the WHO and the NHS, etc., regarding weight loss studies or being fat is harmful studies, and regard them as inconclusive or not done thoroughly enough. That's not true. Myself and millions of others actually feel the same way towards these organisations, the WHO, FDA, NHS, etc., in regard to vaccines. The fact that you discriminate against this in your podcast is very hypocritical. I think they meant hypocritical. And shows you don't know enough on vaccines to then judge others' valid feelings towards them. I've been such an avid fan, preaching your name and podcast to friends and clients alike, as you really did help me through a time where I was recovering from bulimia. You made me see the world a different way, and you actually made me question the government, NHS, WHO, along with the use of BMIs. Maybe, okay, they're going to throw it at me now, maybe if you take care in the future I will keep listening. Mention this on your show if you like. And so I was like, I responded back saying, hang on, you mean me saying anti-vaxxers are problematic? ? Because I was like, what? Who's listening to my show who is an anti-vaxxer? Who's listening to my show that's right wing? What? Oh my God, I'm confused. What? Anyway, they sent another message being like, you're a hypocrite and la 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 la. Because I said I don't fuck with people, I won't date people or be friends with people who who are anti-vaxxers, who refuse to get vaccinated for no good reason. So it just made me think like, oh shit, this person is, adding 2 and 2 and making 7, being like, you're anti-diet, you question the government. Like, I don't. I'm going to explain it more in a bit. And therefore, I'm questioning, this listener is questioning the government. Therefore, shouldn't someone who is anti-diet be anti-vaccine? Or pro-questioning the government or health agencies or whatever. And so I just wanted to put it out there. In my Facebook group, I have a pinned post as a kind of an FYI, in case you don't know where I stand on certain topics. That's a failing on my part, and it just goes to show that I need to be talking about certain topics way more than I do, because some people have slipped through the net. Sometimes people get into my Facebook group, Fierce Fatty Friends is the name of the group, so if you want to search it. I have like 3 questions to get into the group, so we can try and weed out the people who it's not suitable for. But still, people will slip in and they'll be like, how dare you use the word fat, or how dare you criticize President Trump? He's the best. And I'm like, what the fuck? Who are these people? How did they get in here? Get them out immediately. And so, just an FYI, my friend Megan Kimberlin, who's a plus model, they are gender fluid, and they shared something which I was like, great, I need to put this somewhere. And Megan says, reminder that I am pro-choice, pro-black, pro-immigration, pro-living wage, pro-universal healthcare, pro-paid university education, pro-student debt elimination, pro-police reform, pro-prison abolition, pro-vaccine, pro-science, pro-trans, pro-gay, pro-fat. If you don't like it, unfriend me now so the trash can take itself out. And so there you go. There's kind of a little roundup. Like, I'm just, giving fatty high fives to Megan over there, because Megan, they just, summed up how I feel about the world in their little thing on Facebook. And so that's what Fierce Fatty Academy, that's what Fierce Fatty is about, is being progressive. We're not about right-wing shit. And so there's a difference between someone who is vaccine hesitant and is like, oh, okay, I'm a bit nervous. The vaccine's just come out a year ago, and I'm not sure. I'm a little bit, I don't know about this and I don't know about that. And so I'm going to go to a medical professional and I'm going to say, hey, these are my fears. What does the science say? Are my fears justified? Or, for example, black folks who were slower in taking the vaccine due to legitimate fears about the government and whether the vaccine would cause them harm, due to historical cases of governments giving black communities medicine and vaccines just to perform scientific experiments on them. And so that makes sense, that hesitancy in certain circumstances. And then when we've got more information, we've got to look at the science. And so, like I say, black communities were slower, and some people might have been hesitant. And now the vaccine has been out a year, almost 10 months. And now we've got a ton of data about what it looks like in real life, even though we already had tons of data from the many, many years that scientists have been researching vaccines and researching COVID vaccines. And so now, looking at the science, we can be reassured if we do have fears. So, it makes me think of, you get these articles online, and it's like, in right-wing spaces, things like, there was this one thing where people were vaccinated in an old folks home, the people in the care home. And then within the following weeks, a few people in the care home died. And right-wingers who were like, see, the vaccine kills people at an alarming rate. And this is just a beautiful example of correlation doesn't equal causation. And that's something that I talk about on the podcast all the time. Correlation doesn't equal causation. So if, in this example, people who were in an old folks home are old people tend to die. They could have been like, oh, they ate an apple a couple of weeks before and they died. Well, people are not going to be like, oh my God, the apple killed them. Because it's there's this one meme that I thought was funny. My cousin got the vaccine and it turned him into a llama, and he fell into a river and had to hitch a ride with a village leader back to his castle. Just saying, do your own research. So the premise in this message that I got from this person is that anti-diet people question science, and therefore we shouldn't talk shit about anti-vaxxers. And so that's like the premise of the message, right? And so the thing is that anti-diet, health at every size, and intuitive eating are not fringe ideas. They are not fringe ideas. They are very well established and supported. And this is stuff that we have known since the 40s and 50s. The Australian government recently said that the fact that diets don't work is grade A evidence. Grade A meaning they're as sure as smoking causes cancer. They're as sure that diets don't work. That's what grade A evidence is. That's the Australian government. The UK Parliament recently talked about health at every size and intuitive eating, talking about that's the way to go and diets don't work. UK Parliament. This is not fringe ideas. Science is always evolving, and sometimes it takes a little while for common misconceptions and biases to be corrected at a society level. And it's very well established in many scientific circles that diets don't make people thin long term. It's not controversial to say that, right? And I know a lot of people, this is brand new. They're hearing it brand new. But it's old news. Really old news. Really old news. It was established first in the 1940s, 1950s. And so that's 70 years. And it's not just it was established once. It's been established again and 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 again. Many, 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 many times. Lots of different studies spanning really long periods. So anti-diet relies on science. It's pro-science. Anti-diet, fat acceptance, Health at Every Size, Intuitive Eating, is pro-science. We have tons and tons of studies talking about this stuff. When we think about questioning the idea that fat is bad, we are talking about changing people's biases. Okay? We're talking about changing people's biases. And bias is deeply ingrained in society. And it's like, this person saying, you're discriminating against anti-vaxxers. No, that is not how all of that works. That's not how it works, right? Anti-vaxxers are not a marginalized group. Anti-vaxxers are just people who don't maybe understand science or don't believe in science or whatever, right? They're not a marginalized group. Okay, so yeah, so anti-diet, we're not talking about denying good science. That is not what anti-diet is. Anti-diet relies on science. Like, we wouldn't have got where we are, all of the fat activists that have come long before all of us, we wouldn't have got to this place where many people and governments and agencies are now understanding and recognizing the complex nature of body size. We would not have got to that place if it wasn't for science that shows what so many people are talking about. And we have that other layer that it's a social justice movement, and we're moving towards a more good and progressive world. And so with anti-vax stuff, 20 years ago, I don't know if you know or remember, there was this one study where this guy literally made up data that vaccines cause autism. And Jenna McCarthy, I don't know, was she an adult entertainment actor? Was she a actor? I can't remember. Anyway, Jenna McCarthy, a famous American, then ran with this and spread this ableist anti-science nonsense even further. So a little bit about this person. I'm not even going to mention their name. The British, of course, it's a fucking white British guy that's done this terrible thing to the world. This guy is a British anti-vaccine activist, former physician and discredited academic who was struck off the medical register for his involvement in the Lancet MMR autism fraud, a 1998 study that falsely claimed a link between measles, mumps and rubella vaccine and autism. Wakefield's study and his claim that the MMR vaccine might cause autism led to a decline in vaccination rates in the United States, United Kingdom and Ireland, and a corresponding rise in measles and mumps infections, resulting in serious illness and deaths. His continued claims that the vaccine is harmful have contributed to a climate of distrust of all vaccines and the re-emergence of other previously controlled diseases. So this guy, he was a doctor. He was a gastroenterologist. I can't remember what it was. I watched a documentary about it, but there was he had some biases going in that he wanted to, he fudged the data. It was totally made up. And it was so serious that he was struck off the medical register. And you have to do some fucked up shit to get struck off the medical register, right? Like, really fucked up shit. So, and he was basically, he couldn't work in the UK anymore. Now he's over in the States, running with the Trump crowd, and is in right-wing heaven with all of the anti-vax people being like, oh my God, you're a martyr. And so this one guy has caused, in the last 20 years, an absolute, he was responsible for so many deaths. And the amount of money that's had to be poured into researching whether there is a link between vaccines and autism is astronomical. There are so many studies in response to this one fraudulent study that so many people are just like fed up with yet another study coming out showing no connection. And the thing is, if vaccines did cause autism, why are we saying that autism is worse than death? It's not. And that's really fucking ableist to say that you're so terrified that your child might be autistic that you refuse to give them something that protects your child and protects the community, protects people who can't have vaccines for whatever reason. It's just so fucked up and it's so selfish. It makes me very mad. So there are no studies to prove that vaccines are unsafe in any meaningful way, including the COVID vaccines. The same way that there are no studies to show that any diet works long term for any more than a tiny percentage of people. And so you see how anti-diet and pro-vaccine, they're like hand in hand with each other. We're looking at the science. We love a bit of science versus science denying. So yes, some people had a reaction to the COVID vaccines, which included allergic reactions in people who've struggled with severe allergies. And so, quote, anaphylaxis after COVID-19 vaccination is rare and has occurred in approximately 2 to 5 people per million. Let me repeat that. Anaphylaxis occurred in 2 to 5 people per million vaccinated in the United States. Severe allergic reactions, including anaphylaxis, can occur after any vaccine. If this occurs, vaccination providers can effectively and immediately treat the reaction. And millions of people have taken it. So that's me saying that, and millions of people have taken it. So millions of people have taken this vaccine, and like in Vancouver, where I live, 83% of people are vaccinated. 6 billion doses worldwide have been administered, which is absolutely phenomenal. So, I mean, it's just denying science at this point, right? That so many have been vaccinated, and vaccines have been around for so long, and there's been so much research. And here's a little kind of snippet about the vaccines. COVID-19 vaccines are safe and effective. Millions of people in the United States have received COVID-19 vaccines under the most intense safety monitoring in US history. Under the most intense safety monitoring in US history. So, you know, it's the same with anti-diet stuff. Yes, some people can lose weight successfully, but the vast majority don't. And evidence supports this. And so, same with the COVID vaccines. Yes, some people might have a reaction, but the vast, way vaster than anti-diet stuff, because in anti-diet stuff, 5% max can lose weight long term. That's being generous. So let's just say 5%. 5%. And with the COVID vaccines, the percentage of people having a severe allergic reaction is so low. It's going to be way lower than 1%. Way lower than 1%. What was it? 2 to 5 per million. So I don't even know what that percent is, but it's probably like 0.00001, you know. And that's from, you know, it's like, what would you rather do? Protect yourself and protect your community? Or on the off chance of 5 in a million chance that you might have an anaphylaxis reaction and need assistance with that. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me in my brain. Maybe my brain isn't big enough to understand the kind of science denying around that. So anti-diet does not equal anti-vax. In fact, if anything, the opposite, as anti-diet is evidence-based and anti-vax isn't evidence-based. And I heard a scientist debate a flat earther, and something that scientist said, which I thought was kind of funny and I loved it, was that yes, be open-minded. Be open-minded about science. Be open-minded about findings, and be open-minded about looking at the studies and seeing how they were conducted and if they're legit or not. Be open-minded, but not so open-minded that your brains fall out. Let me repeat that. Be open-minded, but not so open-minded that your brains fall out. There are so many things that are so well established in science that we just don't need to keep debating it so much and putting so much weight into it. You know, example, the Earth being a globe, right? It's just, why? Why do we have to keep talking about this stuff? And there are so many people who just agree on this scientific assertions. Like, it's just so generally kind of accepted. And just because times are changing around the way that we view fat bodies doesn't mean we just throw all science out. You know, just because attitudes are changing and people are unlearning their bias around fat bodies doesn't mean that that's it. Fuck all science. All science is bad. All scientists are fraudulent. We shouldn't listen to them. They are bad people. No. Like, no. You know, people's attitudes are changing around fat bodies, and that is a wonderful thing. And it is backed by science. So, yeah. Another meme that I really liked that I saw, I thought it was funny. Dolly Parton didn't tumble out of bed and stumble to the kitchen and pour herself a cup of ambition just for you to refuse to take the COVID vaccine that she helped fund. Dolly Parton didn't tumble out of bed and stumble to the kitchen, pour herself a cup of ambition just for you to refuse to take the COVID vaccine that she helped fund. Yes, Dolly, we're going to take the vaccine, okay? And the thing is, you know, this episode isn't for people who are anti-vax, because they probably won't change their mind. They probably will say, well, Victoria, you're biased, and you don't know what you're talking about, and you do what you want, right? Do what you want with your body. If you don't want to get vaccinated, you don't have to get vaccinated, right? You live your life, whatever. I think it's really fucking selfish because you are hurting your community. But also, you have the choice not to get vaccinated. I have the choice not to want to suck your dick. I have the choice not to want to be your friend. I have the choice not to want to associate with you. And I won't. I won't, because it really tells me about someone's personality. If they were like blatantly like, no, fuck vaccines, you know? And then, again, there's a difference between someone who says, well, I'm a little bit, you know, I'm hesitant, I'm not sure, I have questions. That's cool. That's, you know, absolutely. Between someone who is like, you know what, I've had questions for a year and I don't fucking care. I'm not going to get the vaccine. I can't be bothered to answer those questions. So I'm just not going to do it. You know, because for whatever reason, or, you know, people who are like aggressively anti-vax. Yeah. So maybe some people are going to be taking themselves out the door and not listening to the podcast anymore, and that's absolutely a-okay with me. And a lot of people are probably going to be like, yes, Victoria, I'm with you. I think, you know, it's probably going to be like, you know, because obviously it's fringe stuff. The anti-vax is very, very fringe. And so the people who've accidentally stumbled upon my podcast who don't know that fat positivity is a progressive movement is not conservative, you know. Maybe they didn't get the memo yet or whatever. But yeah, hopefully today, this episode has given the memo. That's what I think in regards to all that stuff. So a reminder of what Megan Kimberling said, which I absolutely agree with. I am pro-choice, pro-black, pro-immigration, pro-living wage, pro-universal healthcare, pro-paid university education, pro-student debt elimination, pro-police reform, pro-prison abolition, pro-vaccine, pro-science, pro-trans, pro-gay, pro-fat. If you don't like it, unfriend me now so that the trash can take itself out. Okay, so there was this thing I saw. I want to talk about something else. There's a thing I saw on the Instagrams, and I thought it was so good I wanted to share it with you. It is from an account run by Stacey Fanelli. Love that name. That's Stacey Fanelli. Isn't that such a good name? Fanelli. Anyway, Stacey Fanelli. I will link in the show notes. Their handle is ED ADHD _therapist. So ED as in eating disorder, ADHD as in ADHD _therapist. And they made a post which shows the overlap between grind culture and diet culture. And if you're not familiar with grind culture is kind of that stuff I've been talking about in podcasts that I'm trying to get away from, which is having to be so productive, that if you really want something that you have to be working 7 days a week, and if you are really passionate about being successful, then you'd be getting up at 2 a.m. and having only 30 minutes sleep at night, and you're solely responsible for your success. If your life is shit, it's because it's your fault versus any other societal issues. And so that's grind culture. And so the comparison to diet culture, and I was like, oh shit, I love it. So let me read the caption. We can't talk about ADHD and mental health without addressing grind culture, also known as hustle culture, the societal ideals around work and, quote, getting stuff done. A post of mine from earlier this year on perfectionism and its overlap with ADHD and eating disorders is similar to this one, but here I want to highlight not just the individual's behavior, but also the messaging we get from the world around us on both work and food/bodies. As ADHDers, we tend to struggle with shame and rejection as a result of executive dysfunction, such as difficulty starting tasks and sustaining attention on boring tasks, often the ones society values most. And as I've covered throughout this IG, ADHDers are also more prone to developing eating disorders for so many reasons, not the least of which is the pull of diet culture to fit into the world not built for us, to compensate for what we lack in the grind circle. The grind circle is on the illustration. In summary, this didn't happen in a vacuum. It's not your fault. Challenging a fear food in recovery is a fantastic step, and because of all the overlap between these cultures, challenging an urge to work off the clock or pull an all-nighter is equivalent. To become a undieter or to divest from diet culture in the process of your recovery is also to become a well-rested, self-compassionate anarchist, really. Recovery is counterculture. I hope that's one day not the case because it drives people away. It's freaking scary to go against the grain. So many what ifs. Ask yourself, does my buy-in to this cultural messaging align with my values and integrity? The community of people rejecting dangerous norms like these is growing every day. Join the movement. Okay, so this person's a therapist, by the way. So grind culture and diet culture, the commonalities. Rest equals lazy. It's born out of fear, relies on the willpower myth, puts money into industries that profit off our insecurities, encourages hierarchy, no excuses, based in white supremacy, the faster the better, thrives on comparison. So that's how they're linked. And here we've got kind of so it's two circles that are overlapping, and in the middle are those ones that I just read. In the grind culture circle, which is not overlapping with the diet culture circle, we've got productivity is worth, you get out what you put in, normalizes burnout, assumes everyone is willing to go above and beyond, and marginalizes people with disabilities and neurodivergence. And diet culture, in this diet culture circle, weight is worth. Whatever body type you have is earned. Normalizes disordered eating. Assumes everyone wants to be smaller. Marginalizes people in larger bodies. So yeah, I was just like, fuck yes. I never made that connection. So go follow this account. It's a smaller account, 1,700 followers. And so I think that they need to go and they need to get some more attention, because you know this is good stuff. I'm trying to find that other post that they said that they did with the individual behaviors of this. So anyway, if you've got ADHD, this might be really super interesting, but it's interesting anyway, because you know that connection. And that was really interesting how, you know, I'm talking with my therapist about how I can embrace rest and stop getting stressed if I have a nap and waking up and being like, oh, I need to be productive. And it's really been wonderful for me to continue on that journey of resting as much as I can. And one Saturday I had like a 4-hour nap. And then I had like something in the evening, and so it was beautiful because then I didn't get home until like 12:30, and I'd had that 4-hour nap, and I was still awake, and I could then go to sleep, and it was great, and I didn't feel guilty. And if I had done that previously, I would have felt so fucking guilty that I would have spontaneously combust, you know. So yeah, I wanted to share that with you. So go follow them. I'm going to have a link in the description or in the thingamajig. The show notes for this episode is fiercefatty.com/09898 for episode 98. And you can always get you can always find people, find the podcast at fiercefatty.com/podcast if you ever want any links, or if you ever want to search for topics that I've covered. There's a search bar right at the top of the page for all of the podcasts, and there's a link if you want to submit a question that I might answer on the show. There's that link too. But yeah, that's all I wanted to chat about today. Thank you for hanging out with me, and thank you for being an incredible listener. You are the best, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you later. Goodbye. Thanks for listening to the episode. And if you feel ready to get serious about this work and want to know when the doors open to Fierce Fatty Academy, which is my signature program where I teach all about how to overcome your fat phobic beliefs and learn to love your fat body, then go to fiercefatty.com/waitlist. Again, that is fiercefatty.com/waitlist to get your name on the waitlist for when Fierce Fatty Academy, my signature program, opens.